What's up, YouTube? So in this video, I'm going to be kind of going over some of the players I'm excited to see for the Steelers and Cowboys going into this Hall of Fame game. I think regardless of what team you support, I think we can all agree that we are excited to have football back. And I'm just excited to see anybody play at this point. I've been watching the indoor football league, and that's terrible. I need some NFL back in my life. I need some college football back in my life. So I'm excited. We'll start with the Steelers, and then we'll go to Dallas after. So right off the bat, looking at their roster, one of the players I'm interested in seeing is Kendrick Green out of Illinois. He's a rookie for them this year. Him and JC, as you see, are their two centers. They're going to be battling it out after Marquise Pouncey retired last year. Kendrick Green did get permission from Marquise to take the number 53. I am excited to see what he can bring and if he can win that battle, because I think he can be a pretty decent player for them. I seen him as more of a guard, but whatever. Shakur Brown is going to be, I think, a pretty good nickel corner for them as well. I liked him. I have a video out. I actually have, I think, videos on all their drafted players. I do have a video out for every drafted player in the league, including Shakur Brown. So go ahead and watch that if you so choose. I think he will be a very good player for them. Let's see. Isaiah Buggs is someone I like, but we kind of know who he is at this point. He's a good player. Isaiah Loudermilk is a guy that I honestly didn't know when he was drafted. I had never heard of him. But when I went back and watched the film, I seen a guy that was pretty raw, but he definitely does have talent. And I am excited to see what they can do with him. Now, luckily, he's in a situation where he doesn't have to start right away. He has Tyson Alualu. He has Stephon Tuitt. He has Cameron Hayward to start at those down linemen's positions. So he can have room to develop behind them. So I think that's great. But I am excited to see him in preseason, to see where he's at. Let's see. Derek Watt. Whatever. Fullbacks. Marcus Allen's interesting. Devin Bush, I do want to see how he's come back from his injury. That's going to be very interesting. Alex Highsmith and Melvin Ingram, those are going to be two big ones too. After Bud Dupree went down for Pittsburgh last year, Alex Highsmith really did step up well for them and play pretty decently. So I am excited to see what he can do. And Melvin Ingram, who will probably be rotating with Alex here and there, I'm excited to see if he can kind of find any of what he once was stored inside him, because he was a Pro Bowl player, one of the better defensive ends in the league, one of the better edge rushers in the league. And he's having a hard time with his health and him not being in his prime anymore. He is only 32, which isn't that crazy. He just had a lot of injuries. So if he doesn't have to start and take all the snaps and he can just rotate with Alex, I think that can be a pretty good situation for him. Buddy Johnson is kind of interesting from Texas A&M. Not a massive fan of him, but I'm hoping that he can improve. Quincy Roche from Miami is a guy who is pretty athletic but very, very raw. I am interested as well in seeing exactly what he can bring to the table as well. TJ Watt's amazing. We all know this. Kevin Dott. Their offensive line as a whole is a gigantic question mark. I think Steelers fans know that. The fact that they signed Chad Green is just telling. He's terrible. Dan Moore out of Texas A&M. He's one of y'all's rookies. I do like Dan Moore. I think he's a pretty decent player for you. I'm interested to see exactly how he can develop. Presley Harvin, punter, whatever. As far as quarterback goes, I'm interested in seeing Ben Roethlisberger. He's slimmed down apparently quite a bit. Interested to see that. Interested to see his health. Apparently, he's done much less footballs going into this training camp, so his elbow is a little bit healthier. So I'm interested in seeing that. Of course, Dwayne Haskins is very interesting. Obviously, a first-round quarterback a few years ago. Got into some trouble with Washington, and I'm interested to see how he can develop. Kalen Ballage, as a Dolphins fan, is a guy I kind of like, but it is what it is. Kind of interested in seeing him, I guess. Najee Harris, I love Najee Harris. If you're familiar with my channel, when I was doing mock draft simulators for the Dolphins, Najee Harris was the running back I wanted. He was my running back number one. So congratulations, y'all got yourselves one. He's amazing. Definitely excited to see him. Now, a lot of these veterans probably won't play in the Hall of Fame game. Like, I doubt Ben will play. I doubt Dak will play for Dallas. We'll just have to kind of see with that stuff. But Pat Freiermuth, I love him. Pretty decent receiving talent. Kind of lacking in the athletic department, but he does have pretty decent hands. But really what he brings you is he's a pretty damn good blocker, too. He's pretty physical with it. He's got pretty decent technique with his blocking. And I think he will help y'all out in that way quite a bit. Chase Claypool, I'm curious to see if he can kind of keep things going with how he was last year. They started doubling him up toward the end of the year, and he started having some troubles, but he was very, very talented. He was very, very good early on. So I'm interested to see how he can kind of carry that. Anthony Johnson out of Buffalo is interesting. I've always liked him from Buffalo. Hopefully he gets some opportunities this preseason to kind of play. Rico Bussey, yeah, it's fine. Matthew Sexton, Isaiah McCoy, sure. Tyler Simmons. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Pitt. DeMarcus Christmas, who is on injury reserve, that's a thing. But, yeah, there definitely are some I think the Steelers as a whole are a really interesting thing. That offensive line is just one gigantic question mark. I think right now it's looking pretty terrible. But that's just me. Moving on to Dallas. Now, above their roster, Dallas has done a kind thing in just showing their draft class, which is nice. Micah Parsons, I'm interested to see what he can do for Dallas. He wasn't my linebacker one like a lot of people's were. He was actually my linebacker 4. But with what Dallas brings to the table, they have a pretty decent defensive line who can keep blocks off of him. And if he can just be athletic and run sideline to sideline and smack people, do some blitzes and stuff like that, I think he can be a good player. Just don't ask him to be like a Will. Definitely don't ask him to be a Will. And definitely don't ask him to be a Mike linebacker because his mental processing does need work. But I think he can be very good. Kelvin Joseph is amazing if he can stay out of trouble. He's one of my favorite players in the entire class. Osa Digizua is a fantastic run defender, so is Chauncey Golston. Nashawn Wright, he's fine. Jabril Cox, I think, is a really good cover linebacker. I don't like Josh Ball at all. Semi's kind of bad to me. Quentin Bohanna is a fantastic nose tackle. Yeah, he's fine. But Tyler Biadasz is a player I am very interested in seeing as well. When Dallas went from Joe Looney to Tyler Biadasz, he really stepped up and played well for them. So I am curious to see how well he carries that on. He doesn't really have much competition in that way. As far as their corners go, I'm just interested in seeing who is going to be their number 2 corner. Trevon Diggs is obviously one of the 2 starting corners. He's fantastic, but the debate is who's going to be the number 2. Is it going to be Kelvin Joseph? Is it going to be Nashawn Wright? Is it going to be Jordan Lewis? Anthony Brown? I couldn't think of his name. I knew it was Anthony something. But it could be any of those guys. Seniority might give it to Anthony Brown or Jordan Lewis, but I think the best thing for them would be Kelvin Joseph. I think Kelvin Joseph and Trevon Diggs is a insane pair. Now, the weird thing, though, is their drafting of Nashawn Wright, because presumably with how you drafted Kelvin Joseph, you know that he is a fantastic corner. And with his athleticism, I presume you're going to put him on the outside. But Trevon Diggs was amazing for y'all last year. So I'm curious to see what they're planning on doing with Nashawn Wright. Now, a lot of people would say, he's 6'4", put him in the slot. Not really. Not for Nashawn Wright. It doesn't fit what he does. He struggles on the inside specifically. Like, he has a hard time, even like when he's playing as an outside receiver, he has issues with, routes that go toward the inside, like slants, posts, anything that goes to the inside. He has more trouble with that. He is much better at dealing with people on the outside. So I'm not sure what y'all are going to plan on doing if you end up playing all three of them. Perhaps, when you're in your base defense, you have Kelvin Joseph and Trevon Diggs on the outside. But then when you go into your nickel, Nashawn Wright goes out to the outside and Diggs moves inside, or Kelvin Joseph moves inside, whatever. You can kind of mess around with that. But Bradley Anae is kind of interesting. This is kind of his last chance to really prove himself. He might get himself cut otherwise. Randy Gregory is looking fucking swole as hell going into training camp, so I'm interested in seeing him. I think Randy Gregory is amazing. It's just that he's in trouble too much with the weed, but they don't really test for that no more, so there's that. Osa, like I said, Osa's solid as hell. Their defensive tackle situation is kind of interesting. Their guard battle between Connor Williams and Connor McGovern is going to be interesting. I do expect Williams to probably start, at least at first, and then maybe we'll see what happens later. Linebacker is really interesting to me. They do have Keanu Neal playing linebacker and not safety now, just because of the lack of athleticism. I'm not really a fan of Keanu Neal at this point in his career. He was really good early on, but I'm not really a fan of him now. But I think Jabril Cox, Jalen Smith's kind of questionable. But Jabril Cox is a solid-ass cover linebacker. Micah Parsons can be really good. Leighton Vander Esch is solid, so it's fine. Brian Anger, that's fine. The backup quarterback situation for Dallas is sort of interesting. I think Cooper Rush is pretty bad. Ben DiNucci is terrible. I would personally give the backup quarterback spot to Garrett Gilbert. By the way, if I'm speaking weird, my apologies. I just wrapped up a live stream right before recording this. So, that's what that is. Tony Pollard's always amazing. I'm really interested in seeing Zeke, though. He's looking swole as hell. He's looking just completely ripped. Like we haven't seen him since he was a rookie. And I'm just interested in seeing how he's going to bounce back as well. Let's see. I don't want to see Josh Ball. I don't like him. Terrence Steele is a guy I kind of want to see just because I think it'll be funny. I think he's terrible. I think it'll be funny. I want to see him versus TJ Watt. Blake Jarwin, sure. Who the fuck is that guy? Interesting. Anyway, their tight end's interesting. Dalton Schultz kind of stepped up last year when Blake Jarwin went down. I expect him to probably be their starting tight end. If I had to guess, From what I hear, Noah Brown's actually starting to do pretty decent at training camp, so we'll see with that. Mari Cooper's fantastic. Gallup is a solid deep threat. CeeDee Lamb apparently is just taking everybody's money in practice, so that's fun. Love CeeDee Lamb. Mitch Hyatt's kind of bad, but yeah, man. I'm just really excited to have football back, to be honest with you. I'm excited to see some of these rookies play, some of the second-year players we didn't get to see play in preseason last year. Excited to see them. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, appreciate hitting that like button. If you have any questions or comments, leave in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.